Well, welcome everyone to our landlord information evening. Tonight is a pretty exciting session, and we'll get into that in a moment. But what's probably more exciting is the fact that for the first time ever on these things, Michael and I are actually sitting in the same room, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah,
so
a bit strange, really.
It is weird. It's probably thrown us a little bit, the fact that we can actually be in the same room and come to you guys. We've done this from all parts of Melbourne, all parts of the office, these things, but it's finally good to be in the room, and I guess it just shows that we now in Victoria, we're over there out of our lockdowns and sort of back to a bit of normality, which is awesome. So Michael, without any further ado, I'm super excited for this. So this is, we have Ellie Thompson from REA or realestate.com joining us. She has over a decade's experience in property management, now is one of the leading rent specialists for realestate.com, which you've heard us talk about the state of the market and what's going on. And we thought, what better way of doing that than getting really the market leaders of realestate.com on here to share what they're seeing on their site, the traffic, the numbers, and all those details. So, Ellie, thank you so much for joining us, and I might pass on to you to kick us off.
Thank you very much, boys. So good evening. On behalf of realestate.com.au, I'd like to thank you for having me. As Anthony said, my name is Ali Thompson and I am the rent specialist at realestate.com.au. My role is a national role focusing on everything rent, giving property managers and directors all the information that realestate.com.au have to offer. So having worked in real estate for the last 14 years, I'm an ex-property manager and I am a landlord myself. And it is really important to me that you're equipped and up to date with what's going on with your greatest asset, your investment property. Well, boys, may I just say, what a year. Did you actually think that this year would be so crazy?
No, I don't think any of us thought, and I think it's even gotten crazier. I mean, we always say, look back on March, to get to this point, we wouldn't have thought it would be, 10 months into it. But no, it's been crazy.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
Yeah, so it's been a lot of ups and downs. Like we were just saying earlier before the call, it's to go from having been in proper lockdown and doing these presentations from the office in different rooms in the office to then doing them from home and now to be sitting here in the same room together. It's just that alone is a huge thing. So it's really very odd, very odd and very different.
And now in December, we're allowed to travel. The airports are open. Everyone's probably booking their holidays, but we can't forget Christmas isn't far away and we're almost into the new year. So things are looking upwards. Things are moving onwards. So let's get into it. So at realestate.com.au, we want to talk about the latest and the greatest. So even through COVID, it has been really busy at realestate.com.au. And at Real Estate, we've had a lot of properties go on the market. We've had a lot of views. We've had digital inspections on videos. So what that means is, both for sales and for rental properties, it has allowed Real Estate to pop on realestate.com.au some photos as well as videos for prospective tenants to see. Now, through lockdown, this really did help, guys. So in a sense of what we can actually see, not only photos are aesthetically pleasing, but videos are as well. And we had a lot of inquiries coming through to our property and they are picking up. So as you can see, through the year, we had a lot of changes, especially in each individual state. And you can see there that Victoria, unfortunately, did cop a little bit of a downfall. So this would come into rents being asked for rent reductions and landlords to agreeing to that. Also, tenants losing their jobs. We saw a lot of properties hit the market that were furnished from Airbnb. And I think we also want to make point that even though this has happened, it hasn't just happened in one state, it's happened in all states. So from your experience, guys, a lot of people would have been qualifying for rent reductions. Where did that sit from your perspective in the office?
Yeah, so it was a bit of an odd landscape because originally, casting back to some of the early presentations, originally there was rent reduction negotiations that were happening with tenants because of hardship that they were in. They initially started because tenants were finding themselves without a job. Even in the early days, pre JobKeeper and JobSeeker being announced, there was a lot of uncertainty around people being able to pay their rent for the next month because they didn't know what was happening with their jobs. As we went into late March, forced lockdowns and things forced that. But what we've seen since then is that those rent reductions have probably carried on beyond that, because the markets, as you mentioned earlier, there's a lot of Airbnbs that are coming to market. A lot of the international students and the like have left our marketplace as well. So what's actually happened is rents have adjusted down, and hopefully you can show us some of that data as well. But rents have actually adjusted down by the amount of what a lot of the rent reductions were due to hardship. That's just adjusted across the marketplace.
Yeah, and I think it's important to see exactly, which areas that you guys are focusing on, as well as where the landlords are having their properties. So if you're a landlord and you've got a property, a 2-bedroom unit in South Bank or a 2-bedroom unit in Carlton, you'll see there the difference in rent payable in the last 12 months dropped to nearly 31%. So this is pretty interesting, because we did see across the board it was around that 25%, but especially in some suburbs it did cop it a little bit stronger. You can then look into houses in South Bank sitting on the same kind of market, as well as Docklands as well, taking about 37% loss. So very interesting to see. And this data is everything live from realestate.com as of today. So all factual data that you can see. Another great thing to see is moving through October, so restrictions started to lift and we did get a lot more inquiries on properties. So you can see there in the middle of the year, it did take a bit of a dip. But you've got to think as well, people weren't going on holidays, people were looking for properties to rent. So you will start seeing things pick up. And our busiest time of the year, that has always been a historical time, is the December, January, February at realestate.com. Now that restrictions have lifted, that will be very exciting, especially moving forward into the new year. Another great thing to know is what's been going on online. So connecting you with our audience. So what's been going on? Who's looking on realestate.com.au? Are they looking on any other websites? And how long they're spending on average at each given time. So let's move into the latest data at realestate.com. So the search history has obviously been up in every state and had a bit of a growth in every territory. So you'll see there for both buy and rent, it has escalated, which is really great to see. And then some suburbs did take a bit of a dip. So this is throughout the October to October. Another great thing to look at is the significant view of total rent inquiries. So we obviously put a property on realestate.com and we want inquiries. We want prospective tenants to read the ads. We want prospective tenants to look at the photos and the video. So we want them to inquire, see the property, and then lease out that property. So getting inquiries and page views is a very big thing for realestate.com and in a real estate. Our reach is also stronger than ever. You'll see there on the screen that we have reached 12.4 million people. So that's our October reach, but it really goes to show where you are spending your money when advertising your property for rent. Another really cool thing at realestate.com.au is you can jump online and have a look at all the properties that are for rent. So I did this morning, and a greater region search for Melbourne City. There's over 2,800 properties for rent at the moment. So I know that they're all not yours, guys, which is a great thing. But it's interesting to see how many properties are available, but also how many people are searching for a rental. So I've just pulled in the top 5 suburbs that I thought were very important for tonight, as well as in the second last column, you'll see in the last month how many people have consecutively searched that suburb for rent. So people searching the Melbourne postcode of 3,000 in the last month, 98,000 people have searched that. Coming into Carlton at 26,000, South Yarra at 71,000, Docklands at over 49,000, and South Bank at over 48,000. So there's a lot of tenants out there looking. There are people looking to rent property, but it does come down to, are the properties priced right? Are they presenting well? And they're the things you need to consider when putting your property on the market. So let's talk now about tenants. What do tenants look at? What is their search behaviour? And then we'll click into what landlords and the research that we have done at realestate.com.au. So let's talk about tenants. 63% of our consumers, so potentially prospective tenants, don't look beyond the first page. And if people are spending an average of 5 to 7 minutes on site, how far can you really look down the page and see a property? Realestate.com.au have partnered with Inner Real Estate to present premier rent advertising. So that does mean that your property does go on the market as the biggest and best ad on realestate.com.au as a premier ad. 77% of people are using mobile device to search for property. So more than ever before, you'll walk down the street, people will be on the tram, they'll be on the bus, and they'll be using their mobile phone. So when you search your suburb for rent, or you're looking for a prospective rental, how far do you search down the page? And what device are you using to search for property? Another big thing at realestate.com.au is we check people's search behaviour. So what are they looking at? And the biggest keyword searches on realestate.com for tenants are pets and air conditioning. So when you are renting out your property, and the property manager might say to you, would you allow pets? Or does your area allow pets? Does your strata complex allow pets? Do you have air conditioning? But also, if you don't have air conditioning, what are you competing against? So, food for thought. Another big thing is how tenants are searching. So people will jump onto realestate.com, they'll search for property, but what they are doing is popping in the suburb that they'd like to live in and hitting go. And only 52% of people are refining by price because we know that at the minute there is value for money. They might have a budget of $500 or they might want to live in a complex with a gym and a pool and happy to spend that money. Now moving into a bugbear for tenants, and it always happens that there are some poor quality photos on realestate.com.au. The aim of the game is to present your property exactly the way that it's showcased. So having professional photography on your realestate.com.au ads is a big thing. And I know that Inner Real Estate will ask you the question of, we want to push professional photography onto our site, and that is a big thing for prospective tenants. Another thing that tenants also want to look at is a floor plan. So could your property be showcased with a floor plan? Where will people fit their lounge and where will people fit their fridge? And another big thing is having the price on the ad online. Now moving along to yourselves, landlords. At realestate.com.au, we know that you jump onto our site and you look at suburbs of interest. So will you invest in that suburb? Having a look at comparative rentals. So your property might be coming available and you just get to check what's out there. What may be the achievable rent, or to see which agents are standing out, which brings me to your premier ads on realestate.com.au. So at Inner Real Estate, we do advertise as a premier ad. Premier ads are the biggest and the best ads on realestate.com.au, and their position on site is in the first few pages. So if you list today, it will go on the first page of realestate.com. The aim of the game is to get as many eyeballs on your property so you can release it not only to a great tenant, but also to people that are wanting to look at a property for a long-term lease. And as a landlord, we always want a really good property for a really good price, as well as having the right tenant. So gentlemen, tell me, having premier advertising on realestate.com.au, we're obviously making sure that our landlords are having ads that are attracting tenants. But in your experience, do you get a lot of people through your open for inspections, especially now that restrictions have lifted?
Yeah, look, that's a really good question. So what I've noticed, so we've only been premier or gone to that top style of advertisement fairly recently. So I'm trying to think back in September, August, September.
2 weeks after coming before lockdown, I think.
Yeah, just prior to coming out of lockdown. So the reason why we made that decision was because the way the market was operating at the moment. So as I touched on, there's thousands of properties that are available at the moment. So in order to stand out amongst the crowd, the only way that we could do that was by making sure that, firstly, professional photography was a must and had to be done, which has worked really well. And that was something that we did pre-COVID, and we started doing pre-COVID, but we really emphasise that now. But pushing up to the premier ads, we've noticed a difference just in days on market, number of inquiries, number of people coming through and inspecting. And also, as you mentioned in the slide, the 15-day refresh, you'll notice if you're doing a price adjustment 2 weeks into the campaign, you get that second opportunity to go to the top of the page, whereas you would have lost that opportunity had it been with another type. And again, it's almost as though a fresh campaign's been launched on the property, and it gives you another run of 2 weeks of having the property up there and getting the most number of inquiries out of it. So look, from a rental perspective, I've seen significant changes, and our days on market have come back pretty significantly as well.
And just on that, I think it's important to mention that the about the refreshing and going back up on that. I mean, when you sort of see that there's the amount of properties that we've got, and you're right, you're having that refresh of a campaign go up, and well, I can't remember the exact number on the stats, but it was around the 60% of people don't go past page 1. So you're getting people day 1 and then day 15, 16, while you're staying up on there again. So you're really maximising the amount of people that you're in front of. So it's been a real bit of a game changer for us going Premier, going that top ad.
Yeah, and that's the best thing about it. You're getting a double bang for your buck. You're actually sitting on that first top spot twice, the day you list and on day 15. And I think, if you're not getting much inquiry in the first 2 weeks, or, you think maybe this photo isn't the photo that we need to attract, we have the opportunity to change that. And when it refreshes at the top on day 15, it's really one of those things where you will see a spike in inquiry in your property campaign report.
Yeah, definitely.
So based on your performance, it's really interesting to see that your top performing listing was in Lonsdale Street. So I think we spoke this morning, and that was listed through COVID. And the number of views on that property was 2,116. So that is a fantastic result, especially for a 2-bedroom apartment with no parking. And it is interesting to see how many views. So another thing to mention is every property that lists onto realestate.com.au has a property report, and it gives you an indication of exactly what's gone on. How many people have seen that property, how many people have clicked into the ad, how many people have saved it. And that's something that we need to make sure that is available to you to have a look at. And as you said, your days on market have really decreased, and you can see that they're live in the stats from 49 down to 27. So well done in a sense of, your advertising is fantastic, and I think we need to make sure that we're pushing through to Christmas into the new year.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I said, I've noticed that it's interesting to get the statistics there directly from you on days on market, because it is it's good to see the actual numbers coming out, because we see it in practice as we're operating, and we see that the number of days on market have come back. And I suppose, we talk in days on market terms because it's something that, us within the industry kind of talk about, but translating that for landlords, that just means that the number of days that the property's sitting there available online reduces, which means that there's less of a vacancy period, which means that your overall yield on the property for that financial year is higher, which is what we're ultimately looking for. We're looking at trying to maintain a reasonable yield in a challenging marketplace where we've obviously got reducing rents, but just making sure that we're meeting market as quickly as we possibly can. The property is presented in the best possible way with professional photos, because again, it's about attracting people to your property, and then obviously, presented on your site in the best possible way so that it reaches as many eyeballs, and then hopefully as many people coming through to inspect as possible. So that's really good. Really good.
It's also about taking pride in the property too. I mean, we want to make sure that we showcase every one of our properties right and give it every opportunity. I mean, I think rental, it's become a lot more competitive, and having been in real estate 10 years and starting off with property management, I remember just taking photos on an old digital camera, and they were blurry and just really average. Pop it up on realestate.com and put it on those websites. You print out a rental list, you have it at the front of the office, someone would walk in and go, give us $50, here's the keys, off you go and inspect it. Whereas that's all changed now. I mean, it's what, trying to lease a property is just like selling a property. You've got to showcase it, you've almost got to sell it and market it really well. You can't just take it for granted someone's going to walk into your office and lease a property off a rental list, or just grabbing the keys or just driving past. You've really got to showcase it. And even more so in our area where there is, 2,800 odd listings available or properties for lease, how are you going to stand out? Good ads, good photos, and again, the inquiry will come through.
And making sure that we capture the inquiry and do something with it. And that's maybe, Ali, you might be able to talk to our landlords a little bit about the benefits of using things like Inspect Real Estate, which we use with your website pretty widely. And again, we've expanded the use of that. So we've gone from a team of 1 leasing consultant and 6 property managers to now having 2 leasing consultants and 8 property managers. And using things like Ideal Week within that. I don't know if you want to maybe talk a little bit about how that works with realestate.com.
Yeah, so realestate.com.au partnered with Inspect Real Estate many years ago. And I think, gone are the days of a tenant ringing up to say, oh, Anthony, can I come and see this property? And, bits and pieces. Now they've got the one click of a button through their mobile phone or their desktop, which allows them to book and register for an inspection. So we obviously want to make sure that we're getting as many people through as possible. And it's so easy now for a tenant to register and, get all the details and potentially pre-apply for a property before they see it. And having that at one click of a button is so easy. And that's the thing at real estate. We want to make it a streamlined process. So, letting them look at the property on realestate.com, letting them inquire, letting them book an inspection, and then it's handed over to you guys to take them through and then get them to apply and process the application and speak to you as a landlord to see where they're up to and are they approved for the property.
Yeah. No, I've got to say, like I said, we've started using Inspect Real Estate really widely in the last, again, since we came out of the lockdown. Actually, probably the first lockdown, I think we really started using that properly, again, with the second leasing consultant on board and everything as well. And what we noticed was it's allowed us to remove a time delay and a bit of a friction point by having again, what we call an ideal week, but essentially, our leasing consultants' diaries or calendars are linked directly to realestate.com so that a prospective tenant can book a time that they're available to go through without having to send through an inquiry, respond to the inquiry, set up a time that's convenient, and then go through. So, the tenant can be sitting there at 3 a.m. in bed and want to come through and inspect the property the following day at midday. And they can do that because they can see the availability in the calendar and book the time and meet the leasing person there on site. And that, again, similar to the exposure thing, what we found is that it's just removing that barrier, it's removing that time delay, and you're just getting as many people through the property as possible. Which again, in a marketplace like we're dealing with at the moment, that helps because you're then able to draw out more applications and have more informed discussions with the owners because you're getting as many people through the property as possible.
Also, it's like the old Blockbuster model, like comparing it to Blockbuster and like Netflix. I mean, like you used to walk into a Blockbuster and there wasn't the video that you couldn't have. Yeah. It's because it's been all the automobiles. They said you have to then go settle for an average movie. It's the same thing with thinking back on, and we use it now for sales as well. Inspect Real Estate, and it's amazing. Like someone can literally book in a time, they're going to show up. It makes our time really effective because we know we're going to have people turning up to inspections or turning up to a property. We know that that's happening. And for a prospective tenant or buyer or whatever they may be on the other side, it's easy for them to be able just to click a button that's convenient for them. And having the 2 leasing consultants now full time doing that, we're able to book in more inspections, and it's not abnormal for them to be doing 20 inspections each a day, which if you were to try and manually book in 20 inspections into your calendar by taking a phone call or responding to an email inquiry, you just wouldn't have enough time in the day to be able to do it. So it's just making it painless and really easy to do it. It's all about making it just easy. There's one thing we've learned this year, let's just make it easy. Let's not overcomplicate it. What's the easiest way of doing it?
And the way that technology has evolved, going from the rental list to everything online, having inspections booked from the click of a button. I mean, what's going to happen next? Really, technology is completely taken over.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's great. Well, thank you very much again, Ellie, for that. That was really insightful for us. There was some really good statistics that came out of that I know we've got some value from, and validate a couple of things that we were thinking, but also giving us a real idea on our marketplace and how we're operating in our marketplace. So really thank you for that.
Pleasure. It's onwards and upwards. It'll be very different in the next 3 to 6 months' time. So when we catch up again, we'll be able to give you some great statistics into the new year.
No, that'd be great. Thank you so much for that.
Thanks.
And just a big thank you to all of our landlords as well. It's been a very interesting year this year. These landlord presentations started off again, you know, like Anthony was saying, social distancing in different offices and things within our office. We were doing them. It felt like every 5 minutes, but I think we were doing them weekly or every second week at one point. You know, going through as there was updates on government funding and omnibus bills and all the other things that were coming out. But I really love how they've adapted now over the last 3 months to be more, you know, valuable information that we're actually presenting to you on a regular basis. And I don't see that changing into 2021. You know, we're gonna, you know, we'll certainly, you know, do them on a monthly basis. So they'll continue hopefully on the first Wednesday or Thursday of the month into next year as well. And we'll be welcoming hopefully a range of different guests from different fields as well, and even probably even looking at some people from our marketplace. You know, just even local people within the South Melbourne area, just to give them an update on what's been happening in our area and how things will change hopefully throughout the course of next year. But again, just a big thank you to all of our clients, to all of the viewers. I know we've got some regular viewers that tune in, and all of those that watch the recording afterwards as well. You know, thank you all of you for all of your support this year. Thank you for all the well wishes as well as we've been working through this. And you know, to a fantastic and very successful 2021 next year. We're all looking forward to it. Like I said, this year's had its challenges, but you know, we're really looking forward to 2021. So thank you everybody for joining in tonight, and we'll see you all again next year. Thank you.
Thanks so much. See you later.